Welcome to the April 2019 edition of Outlook Video, your nationally recognized award-winning show for gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender communities. I'm Shay Franco-Klassen.
And I'm Jay Raley. Shay, I would like to welcome you to Outlook Video, and the whole crew would like to welcome you to Outlook Video. And I know we had Gabrielle Antalovich interview you a while back when you were running for San Jose City Council. And I see now that you're going to be one of our co-hosts, and apparently you got some interviews all lined up too.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited to join the Outlook family. I do have a lot of great ideas, a lot of field interviews and studio interviews. I just have a lot of excitement to join this team, so thank you.
No problem, our pleasure.
Let's get into the lineup for this month's show. Opening this show's segments will be Roberta Gonzalez-Gregg and Eric Chong interviewing Larry Lair, founder of Seniors Tell All concept, at the Our Town Expo in San Francisco. STA is a concept secure space for LGBTQ plus seniors of no age limit and youth age 18 and above at organized private meeting spaces to sit and talk to each other just about anything.
Shay will be interviewing Ray Mueller with the Silicon Valley Stonewall Democrats. Their website states, the Santa Clara County Democratic Party strives to build, sustain, and use our collective power to enable good Democratic candidates to win elections at all levels and to fight for important Democratic values such as first-class schools, affordable health care, quality jobs, safe communities, innovative energy policies, reliable Social Security, a clean environment, and an honest and open government. We will be bringing you this interview later in the show.
Gabrielle Antanovich will be interviewing our very own Christine Konkol. Christine will be talking about her coming out process and the incidents that surrounded it. This should prove to be an interesting interview. I'm really looking forward to all the juicy details.
Roberta Gonzalez-Gregg will be interviewing San Francisco attorney Deb Kenny, partner of the Johnston, Kinney, and Zuleika law firm. Oh, we've seen a lot of changes in the LGBT community in the last several years, haven't we? We've gained much in the way of equality.
Yes, in many ways, but now we have the right to marry, for instance. But how does that affect us legally?
You mean there are some laws which may still restrict how we live and plan our daily lives?
Much of our progress has happened for our community, but we still need to be diligent in how we handle our property, our financial affairs, especially those seasoned LGBT seniors. To help us discern and decide how to handle those concerns, later in tonight's show and returning to Outlook Video will be San Francisco attorney Deb Kenny.
Oh, if I was married. Doesn't that mean that what's mine is mine and what's his is mine too?
I'm going to let Deb answer that question.
That's fair enough. We'll start off this month with Roberta and Eric's interview at the Our Town Expo in San Francisco.
My sign. So Seniors Tell All is something that I launched during SF Pride 2018. I also created the theme for Pride this year, Generations of Strength. Excellent. And so I launched this during Pride weekend on that Saturday because I wanted something more than Pride has been. I wanted something that was more serious, even though Pride is very serious because we need to be visible. So I launched this intergenerational discussions. There's a lot of intergenerational discussion groups around the world, organizations in San Francisco, senior organizations and youth organizations have had these events, but they kind of honestly peter out. You know, they kind of go by the wayside. It's not a regular thing. My goal is to present something during Pride Month when there's a lot of hype and focus and marketing, and then also every quarter to have a pop-up, to have seniors and youth come in, a safe space, and that's what I do. I get the space, I set it up, I moderate it with friends, I garner the people, the seniors and the youth to come in and talk about anything they want to talk about.
So it's sharing of their stories?
Yes, it is, because see, even the youth that are here, and I've talked to a lot of them, they see that we have survived. They're not sure what we survived. We're all surviving something, and have survived something. They are very pragmatic nowadays, the youth. And I can't really put an age on, I'm just saying the youth. They want a bullet point. They want a list of, what do you do? What do I do to survive life? And you know, we as seniors, we don't know until we sit down and start talking about it ourselves. And then it comes out. And then we realize what we did. And they see that light bulb go on in us, and then their light bulb goes on, and they start thinking, oh yeah, that makes sense. So maybe we'll inspire someone to create a seniors tell-all. We think everything is all roses nowadays, you know, everybody's free to be out. No, it's not like that. Some young people are out, but there's far, far more young people in the closet and hiding and not being who they are. And for me, it boils down to one thing, and that's preventing suicide and saving a life. These kids have to know our history. I was getting emotional on this part. They have to know our history, our rich history. They have to know that we survived, that they can survive, and the only way they do that is to hear our stories. And when I'm gone, my story should not go away.
Oh, that's good. That you can keep these stories moving forward and moving on through.
Go to Facebook and just type in Seniors Tell All. I just launched a Facebook page. And I'm happy to say that I launched this in June, and in September I was granted an official state of California service mark, like a trademark. So I'm all fancy and bona fide now, with a service mark to provide a community service, to provide a safe space for intergenerational discussion. So I'm very excited about that. Now the discussions will begin.
And working forward, we look forward to having and hearing more stories.
I'm Johnny Simons, and you're watching Outlook Video.
Hello, my name's Gabrielle Antolovich. Welcome to Outlook Video. And we have a fabulous person, Christine Konkol, who came out in Utah in the mid-70s.
Yes.
That must have been extraordinary.
It was a very amazing part of my life, and I feel very blessed to have followed the paths and listened to these synchronistic occurrences that guided me along the way.
What do you mean?
Well, in Utah, it's a very close community. Members of the Latter-day Saints live in Utah, and to be part of a group is very important. So I realized that I wanted to be with women more than I wanted to be with men. And
That's what coming out is all about.
Right. And I didn't have any role models. And I did have a drama teacher who was in the Daughters of Bilitis. And that was very hush-hush. And my friend said to me, well, you know what the Daughters of Bilitis are, don't you? And I said, of course I do. Meanwhile, I didn't have a clue.
Well, what were they? Because I'm sure nobody knows anymore. Tell us.
That was the initial group in San Francisco of women who found each other and started the group called Daughters of Bilitis here in San Francisco. And that was a place where women who wanted to be with women as partners could go. It was all undercover and very quietly done.
Woo.
And that was amazing in Utah that someone would even mention that group. And it got me to thinking that I loved hanging out with my girlfriends more than I did going on dates with boys. And I was in my early 20s. I looked long and hard for a group of lesbians that I could be with, and that was very difficult to find aside from the gay bar on the far side of town, Salt Lake City, that is probably still there to this day.
You're really?
Yes, it was the one and only place where queers could go and find each other, and I would go there and I'd dance with the gay boys and do all kinds of under-the-counter illicit drugs and drink, and that was the scene in the 70s.
Right.
And the
But
few
just
women that came in, I was able to speak with there.
You know, just to sort of chime back in the 1970s, we didn't have the internet, so you couldn't Google Daughters of Bilitis or lesbian and where to find each other.
Yes.
So this was like a miracle.
It was a miracle. It was. I actually had a straight girlfriend who loved to go to this bar and dance, and
So that's how you found the gay bar.
She took me, and that's how I found the gay bar. And then I found a group of lesbians, but it was all undercover. You had to have a code word to get into the house parties.
What was the code word?
I don't remember because it changed all the time. And you had to have the code word because they were so afraid of being found out. And there were, a number of Mormon women there that were being with other women and they could not be found out.
So isn't a code word a precursor to a password?
Yeah, you could make that analogy. That's a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
I have a wonderful story about that time. I had graduated from college. I was wondering what to do, and I thought, I'll join the Air Force. I'll get my master's degree, and they'll give me money to get my PhD after I get out of the military. I was a military brat. My father was in the service. I knew what it was like, and I thought, I'll do that. So I actually went and signed up with a recruiter. And then I was told I'd have to wait 3 months to go to officers training school to go. And I was going to go. And this was in the time of the military throwing out people that they found out were gay. This was during that time. But I had a disconnect. It was me. I didn't think it would matter. And I was very outspoken, an outspoken lesbian, and I wanted to be out there, but I wasn't putting two and two together. And I went to a house party, and this is a true story. Talk about synchronicity, keeping me safe. I went to a house party, and a woman there said, "Can I talk to you for a moment?" After I told her I was going into the service, she took me into a back bedroom, and she said, "Do you know what you're doing? Do you realize what you're doing?" And in that moment, I thought, oh my goodness, I can't go into the service. What am I thinking? And I had to get a lawyer and get out of that commitment. And I didn't go, and that was a close call.
Oh, geez. But you would have also met a lot of lesbians in the service, sorry.
Yes, I would have.
Yeah. So you said that you were an outspoken lesbian. How did you go from not knowing anything, we only have a tiny bit of time, to being outspoken? That's sort of a big jump.
Instead of going into the service, I moved to Manhattan. There's your answer. I was dropped into New York City.
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah,
that was a
that'll
very
do it.
big community. It was the beginning of the AIDS crisis. I worked at Beth Israel Medical Center as an executive assistant there to the president of Beth Israel Medical Center. I saw all of the articles coming in on AIDS and what was happening. It was at the very beginning, ACT UP, all of that.
And also, lesbians were a big deal in New York. So thank you so much. You know, there's so much more to talk about, but thank you so much, Christine Konkol. And you are watching Outlook Video.
We love to get mail from you. Email us at comments@outlookvideo.org.
To contact us by phone, call 408-293-3040, extension 205.
Visit our website at outlookvideo.org.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/outlookvideo.
And connect with us at facebook.com/outlookvideo.
Good evening. I'm Shay Franco-Clausen, and tonight I'm here with Ray Mueller from the Silicon Valley Stonewall Democrats. Hi, Ray, and welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
I wanted to have you here tonight because we've seen this huge rainbow wave here in the nation, electing over 700 appointed or elected people to office. I wanted to know what made you want to start the Stonewall Democratic Club again?
Well, so when I first arrived here, actually had the opportunity to meet the folks who preceded that club with the Silicon Valley LGBT Dems, Clark Williams, Evan Lowe, that whole group. And I got to work with them some when I first arrived, and then I went on to other things, as many of you know. And last year when I ran for office, I was looking for that. I was looking for that core of people that I remember from 10 years ago. And what I found is that we have a club, but it had gotten a little bit quiet because folks had gone their different ways. And it just needed a little bit of energy. So when the election was over, it was time to help it re-energize, help it to come back to life.
Yeah, it was very exciting when the press found out that the club was coming back. There was a lot of excitement. Since we have this wave of people coming in, how do you think the club is going to have an impact in our LGBT community?
Well, my goal is for it to be, first of all, always a voice for our community within the Democratic Party here in not only the county, but at state level.
It's very necessary.
It's important that we be in the rooms where decisions are made and that we are at the tables helping make those decisions, not just in the audience. And so one of the things that I want to make sure is that we're always connecting with our community, finding more ways to connect with our community, because I think that's something that hasn't been a priority in the past.
Yeah.
For a lot of folks in our community, politics is like, oh, now I'm going to sleep. But I think the last few years has really woke a lot of us up to why we need to have an interest at all times.
It's very true. And just moving on from that, do you think your turnout in the election would have been different if there was a very robust LGBT club here?
Well, running as a gay man was difficult in many ways because there were some doors that were slammed in my face. What was a little disconcerting is that there wasn't a lot of our own community that was even aware politically how they could assist.
Right.
And I mean, we have BAMEC that did so many wonderful things, but I was really looking for that type of people that would go out and help knock on doors,
Right.
people that would make phone calls, people that would help me at fundraising events. And that's what I'm hoping that this club can develop into, is a club that will have a group of active people who will truly take part and not just sit on the sidelines.
So before we close out, do you think outreach is a really key and getting the information out to what's happening in the Stonewall Club will be beneficial in the future for future candidates?
I would hope so. I would hope that it becomes as relevant as any of the other clubs. You know, there are so many Democratic clubs here that are, there's an environmental group, there's a youth group,
Yeah.
there's now the Movimiento group.
Yeah.
So I think that it's important for us that not only are we giving a voice, but that we're providing a place for people to give us their voice.
Well, you know, Ray, I really appreciate you saying that, and I hope that through the Stonewall's Democratic Club, coming up on, what's the anniversary?
So this is the 50th anniversary
50th
of Stonewall.
Yes.
And I'm really actually very glad that I'll be sharing it with you as my co-chair.
Yes, thank you. And I'm really excited. And so how could people find out to get involved with?
So right now our best way is to go onto Facebook, and you can find us at Stonewall Dems 408 on Facebook. And we're using that as our primary right now. We are just starting out, so we don't necessarily have the money for a full website yet.
And when are the meetings?
Our meetings, currently we're having one March the 20th, and then we're going to, I believe it's April the 29th. It'll be the fourth Monday of the month, starting in April.
Okay.
And we'll be meeting at the Democratic Party headquarters each month, wherever that may be located at that time.
Ray, I really appreciate you coming here today, and I'm really excited about the Stonewall Democratic Club. And I really look forward to working with you in the community.
Absolutely, darling. Thank you so much.
Good evening. I'm Roberta Gonzalez-Gregg. Rejoining us here at Outlook Video is San Francisco attorney Deb Kenny, partner of Johnson, Kinney, and Zulaka Law Firm. Deb has important information on estate planning and trust administration, especially for our LGBTQ+ community. Welcome back, Deb.
Thanks, Roberta. It's really nice to be here again.
Yes, it's been quite a while, and so many things have changed. So to answer our host questions, okay, and I, as you know, that I'm married,
right?
And my wife and I, we share everything. So what's mine is mine, and what's hers is mine too, right?
Almost.
Okay, you explain it a little bit.
That's good. A lot of people think that, and that that's the way that it could be and should be for a lot of couples. So much has changed, and we have all the access to all the same laws as all our heterosexual married counterparts at this time. but our stories are different, how we came together, how we amassed our fortunes, small, medium, or large as they may be,
Okay.
especially relatively to everything else these days, but how we hold our assets and even how we've titled them is super important. As you grow older and eventually, one of the partners is probably going to be deceased first, and you want to be able to take advantage of what I call the magic wands of marriage. In
Magic
fact,
wands?
the magic tax wands of marriage, if you will.
Okay.
So we have something in California. This is one of 9 states that's a community property state, which means that every time you earn $1, your spouse owns 50 cents of it as you earn it.
Okay.
So that's called automatic vesting in community property.
Yes.
So now you've been together years and years with your partner.
Yes.
And yet you've only been married a small fraction of the time.
True.
Right? So even though you bought houses together or had savings accounts together, et cetera, those assets that you had prior to the date of your marriage are your jointly held separate property. A lot of people think that when they get married, automatically everything's community property. But it's not.
Oh, okay.
Community property is property that you've actually earned during the time you were
During the time that
married
you were together.
or registered.
I see.
Legally together.
Okay.
Okay. So what we have is we have a lot of people who have jointly held separate property, and they may have retired even after they got married or before they got married, and so they have no community property. And the issue is, right, when one person dies, if you have community property, both halves get stepped up in basis. That's the magic wand. So if mom and dad, or you and your partner, mom and mom these days, right? Buy a house.
Mrs. and Mrs.
There you go. Buy a house for $100,000 and it's now worth $1 million. If it's community property, at the first death, both halves get stepped up to date of death value, meaning the survivor now has a house that's fair market value, date of death at $1 million, and their basis is $1 million. So if they sell it, there's no gain, no tax.
I see. Okay,
Right.
so things have changed considerably, haven't
Right.
they? Yes.
But if somebody didn't go back and change, let's say you bought that house with your partner 20 years ago, and then you got married 10 years ago,
Which
or
is
even 5
almost-
years ago.
Almost
really,
exactly, yes,
right?
what happened.
And you haven't changed the title, you have jointly held separate property. So if one of you passes away, your half gets stepped up, same example, to $500,000,
Okay.
and the survivor's basis stays at 50. So the new basis in the house is $550,000.
Wow, there's so much to consider, isn't
There's
there?
a lot to consider.
There's a lot
Yeah,
to
you have to be
consider.
pretty careful.
What other laws for the LGBTQ plus community have changed since you? Well, I'm not going to say since you were on the show because a lot has changed. But what is really significant that comes to mind?
Well, I think access to Social Security, survivor benefits, understanding how to
yes.
take those, understanding. I'm going to need to pause. Sorry.
Yeah. Maybe healthcare directives.
Healthcare directives. A lot of
Yes.
people think that you don't need healthcare directives anymore, but you still do. I mean, I've had people walk in and say, "Hey, we're married now. I'm going to give you back your estate planning binder," and it just makes me think I didn't do a very good job teaching them. Because you do need your healthcare documents, right? And the horrible thing is if something were to happen to both of you at the same time, which does happen.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah. So who's the backup on that? And your HIPAA laws have gotten stricter too over the years.
Okay.
So if you want to access each other's medical records or Social Security or Medicare,
Wow.
you actually need a written HIPAA release
Yes.
to deal with those agencies.
Wow. Wow.
So.
A lot to deal with, isn't there?
Well, there is a lot, but it's just, you want to have your documents together, put them away, and hope you don't have to use them for a long time.
So hence the reason that we should send a lot of people your way from the LGBT community, but not only to yourself, but to like-type attorneys
Absolutely.
who are up to speed on this.
Well, the one thing I say, I don't care if you're young or old, straight or gay, married, single, rich or poor, you need to have your health care documents done.
Good deal.
Right? The most important document everybody should do. Both my kids got one for their 18th birthday.
All right,
Yeah.
good for you.
Yeah.
Good planning
So.
ahead. Well, I'm would love to talk some more about this.
All right.
This is terrific. We'll keep. How about coming back again?
I would
sometime?
love that.
Oh,
All right,
terrific.
thanks,
That would-
Roberta.
This would be terrific. So for those of you who would like some more information about Deb Kenny and her law firm, and this information that is really important to all of us, especially as some of us are aging. We're a few seniors out there. You can look to the television right now, and you'll see that the website where you can contact Deb Kenny at her law firm. Thanks so much for watching, and thank you so much for being with us again.
Thanks, Roberta. It's a pleasure, as always.
Okay, and that's a wrap for this month's edition of Outlook Video. You can watch extended versions of our segments and archive past programs on Outlook Video's YouTube channel at youtube.com/OutlookVideo. Be sure to click on the subscribe button.
Also, find us and friend us on Facebook at facebook.com/OutlookVideo. Outlook Video is made possible by generous donations from viewers like you and talented volunteers behind the cameras whose names you'll see as we close. We close this month's show with clips from Ken Yeager's milestone celebration. Bye for now.
I certainly have a very personal obligation to the LGBT community. And creating the Office of LGBTQ Affairs has been one of my greatest achievements, and it's wonderful that so many of you are here this evening. I want to play a very short video that shows how emotional and momentous of a day, and some of you were there, when the Board of Supervisors passed this program.
Thank you, President Cortese. I'm very pleased to put forward the proposal to create an Office of LGBT Affairs. While the LGBT community has traditionally been underrepresented in government and underserved by institutions, this county has a long tradition of working to eliminate disparities among its residents. And there are many people inside the county that I have been able to work with, and certainly led by Dr. Smith in trying to reduce those disparities, and from my heart, I really appreciate all that they have done. Now I'm going to get choked up. An Office of LGBT Affairs could provide staff training, external relations to the LGBT community, resource development, and evaluation. Its goal would be to provide leadership, accountability, and effective outcomes.
Take your time, Supervisor.
Thank you. Wasn't quite expecting this. Well, I was getting choked up, Gabrielle, when you were first talking, because I remember, the Billy DeFrank Center 30 years ago at a storefront on Keys, and we've all come so far.
Anyway, it was a great day for me personally, and we all have visions of what we want to have happen when we make some policy. I don't think I ever dreamed that we would now have an office that is staffed with 11 people, that we have interns coming wanting to be able to be in the office and to launch careers that they could probably never even dream that they would have here at Santa Clara County. So my thanks to Maribel and to everybody that's in the office, and certainly to you, Dr. Smith, as well.